Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our Quranic Arabic course. This is Nahw lesson 28. This will be our final Nahw lesson in this series. In this lesson, we discuss حالات الاسماء, the states of nouns. This concept is at the heart of Nahw Arabic grammar, and that is because it allows us to put together exactly all the different parts of a text such that it gives us a complete meaning. And so the states of nouns, as we've learned before, are raf, nasb, and jar, or marfu', mansub, and majrur. So these states will always apply to nouns. Any noun under any context will have to be in one of these states, with the default being raf. And so, if that is the case, then it follows that every noun should have some way of expressing its state to us. So, before we continue this discussion, let's have a look at declinability. And so, what is declinability? In this context, declinability refers to the idea that Arabic words have fluctuating end casings conforming to or depending on the states. For example, the word Muslimun, that word, if it is singular and masculine, we can have Muslimun, Musliman, and Muslimin, and feminine, Muslimatun, Muslimatan, and Muslimatin. If it's dual, masculine, Muslimani and Muslimaini, and feminine, Muslimatani and Muslimataini. And if it's plural, masculine, Muslimuna and Muslimina, and feminine, Muslimatun and Muslimatin. So all of these fluctuations we are seeing on this word Muslimun is an example of what we mean by declinability. Now all words in Arabic are not declinable. If we go back and we look at al-kalima, the word in Arabic is of three types: ismun, fi'lun, and harfun. All types of words will be one of these three. How does declinability apply to these? For nouns, declinability applies fully. For verbs, it applies partially. Some verbs, the idea of declinability applies, but for others, it doesn't. And for particles, it does not apply at all. So, the idea of declinability applies completely to nouns, and to some verbs, yes, but to others, no. So, declinability of nouns. We have degrees of declinability, and they are mu'arab, declinable, mabni, indeclinable, and غير منصرف, semi-declinable. And this is called a daptote in English grammar. So the definitions of these loosely are mu'arab, these nouns can change. So whichever states these nouns are in, they will have some way of expressing those states. Then mabni, indeclinable, these nouns cannot change. So even though their states would change, they would not express their states to us. Then غير منصرف, semi-declinable, these nouns can change partially, but they cannot take kasra or tanween. So which nouns falls into each of these three categories? For mu'arab, the majority of nouns are mu'arab. And so the majority of nouns will have some way of expressing its state to us. For mabni, the nouns that are mabni are al-damair, the pronouns, for example, huwa, and al-asma' al-ishara, the demonstrative nouns, for example, hadha, and al-asma' al-mawsula, conjunctive nouns, for example, alladhi. And for غير منصرف, under this category, we have a list of nouns with very detailed rules that would categorize them under غير منصرف. But for simplicity's sake, we will only list a few examples over here. And they are الاسم التفضيل, the comparative noun, for example, أكبر or أحسن, and الاسم المقصور, a noun ending with alif hamza, for example, Zahra, and al-ism al-alam, a proper noun, and these would not be all proper nouns, but only some of them, for example, Adamu or Umaru. And some other nouns that are غير منصرف are plural nouns on the patterns of mafa'ilu and mafa'ilu. For example, mafatihu and mafatihu. And a helpful note here is that the Hansford dictionary indicates a daptote or غير منصرف noun with a small little to next to the word. So that was declinability of nouns. Let's have a look at declinability of verbs. So for verbs, of all the verbs, only the present tense verb is declinable. So the past tense and command verbs do not share this concept of declinability. And also on the present tense verb, this excludes conjugations يفعلن and تفعلن. These two conjugations on the present tense verb do not share this concept of declinability. Now let's come back to our discussion on the حالات الاسماء, the states of nouns. And we said the states of nouns are رفع, نصب, and جر. And these states are comprehensively expressed with ضمة, ألف, واو for the state of رفع, فتحة, يا, كسرة, and ألف for the state of نصب, and كسرة, يا, and فتحة for the state of جر. So let's have a look at how this applies in practice. The default expressions for the states are ضمة, فتحة, and كسرة respectively. So for example, مسلم, مسلما, and مسلمين. But if we have a dual noun, then in that case, raf will be expressed with an alif, nasb with a ya, and jar with a ya also. For example, muslimani, so that would be raf, and muslimaini, that would be nasb and jar. But if we have a sound masculine plural noun, in that case, raf will be waw, nasb, ya, and jar, ya also. For example, muslimuna for raf and muslimina for nasb and jar. And if we have a sound feminine plural, then raf will have the default dhamma, nasb will be expressed with a kasra, and jar with a kasra also. For example, muslimatun raf, muslimatin for nasb and jar. Then if we have a diptone noun, in that case the default remains dhamma for raf and fatha for nasb, but for jar it will be expressed with a fatha also. For example, Ibrahimu and Ibrahima for nasb and jar. And then previously, as you might recall, under the discussion of the different types of nouns, we discussed the asma'ul khamsa, the 5 nouns. And they are abun, akhun, hamun, fu, and dhu. These 5 nouns are special because when they are mudaf, they have different ways of expressing their states. For the state of raf, waw is the expression. For the state of nasb, alif, and for the state of jar, ya. So for example, abuhu for raf, abahu for nasb, and abihi for jar. Now that we know how these states are expressed, let's see for which roles they do apply. So for raf, the roles are fa'il, na'ib fa'il, mubtada, khabar, ism of kana, and khabar of inna. So what that means is that if any noun takes any of these roles, then they will be in the state of raf, and the state of raf will be then expressed on those nouns as per the list of expressions we have for raf. Then for nasb, the roles are مفعول به, اسم كان, خبر كان, التمييز, الحال, المنادى, اسم لا النافية للجنس, المستثنى, مفعول مطلق, مفعول فيه, مفعول معه, and مفعول لأجله. So any noun taking any of these roles will be in the state of nasb, and the state of nasb will be expressed with these expressions. Then the roles for jar are ismul majroor and mudaf ilay. So any noun in these roles will be in the state of jar, and the state of jar will be expressed with these expressions. And then we have another set of roles, and these are what we call the followers. They are sifa, ma'tuf, badal, and tawkid. If a noun is in any of these roles, its encasing or expression will be based on the encasing or expression of whatever it is following. Now, just two additional notes. Indeclinable nouns have hidden expressions. So, if a noun is indeclinable, it will still have a state, but its state would be expressed with a hidden expression. For example, if we have such an indeclinable noun and it is in the state of raf, then we will say the sign of raf is a hidden dhamma. The next point, the states of verbs are discussed in the Sarf workbook. Now let's have a look at some examples to see how exactly what we have just learned applies when doing analysis. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أكثرهم فاسقون. So here أكثر, that is an ism, a noun. Hum is a ضمير متصل, attached pronoun. And فاسقون, that is a ism فاعل. So أكثر, that ism, its role is مبتدا مرفوع in the state of رف, and the sign of رف there is a ضمة. Then hum, that ضمير متصل, attached pronoun, its role is مضاف إليه, and مضاف إليه is in the state of jar. But because this is an attached pronoun, the expression of jar is a كسرة مقدرة, and implied or hidden كسرة. Then because this is مضاف إليه, أكثر is the مضاف. Then فاسقون, that ism فاعل, its role is خبر مرفوع in the state of رف, and because this word فاسقون is a jam مذكر سالم, a sound masculine plural, the expression of رف is a واو. So the خبر and the مبتدا then joins together and makes جملة اسمية, the nominal sentence. So a more thorough analysis requires that we add in the expressions of the states when we mention the states. And at this stage, it is good practice for us to always do that. And the meaning there is, most of them are rebellious. So next example. فَاللَّهُ أَحَقُّ أَن تَخْشَوْهُ إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. So fa is حرف العطف. The word Allah is لفظ الجلالة. أحق is اسم التفضيل. أن is حرف النسب. تخشوا is فعل مضارع present tense verb, and the who is ضمير متصل attached pronoun. إن is حرف الشرط. كنتم is فعل ماضي past tense verb. مؤمنين, that is a اسم فاعل. So coming back to the beginning, fa is حرف العطف, and because it is a particle, the idea of declinability does not apply to it. So we say that it is لا محل له, it has no محل. Then the word Allah, that is لفظ الجلالة, and the role is مبتدا مرفوع in the state of رف, and the expression of رف is ضمة. Then the word أحق, that is a اسم التفضيل, its role is خبر مرفوع in the state of رف, and the expression of رف here is a ضمة also. So the مبتدا and خبر together makes جملة اسمية, nominal sentence. Then أن is حرف النسب, and it is a particle, so لا محل له. تخشوا, that is a فعل مضارع present tense verb, and its role is مرفوع in the state of رف, and the sign of رف here is حذف النون, the absence of the noon. So we will discuss the states of verbs in the Sarf textbook. Moving on, the wa is ضمير متصل, attached pronoun, its role is فاعل مرفوع in the state of رف, and the expression of رف here is a ضمة مقدرة, implied ضمة, because this is a pronoun. So the fa'il, that is then the second part of that verbal sentence. Then the who is ضمير متصل, attached pronoun, its role is مفعول به منصوب in the state of nasb, and the expression of nasb is a فتحة مقدرة, a hidden فتحة, because that is a pronoun. Then that مفعول به is the third part of that verbal sentence. Then in is حرف الشرط, and because it's a particle, لا محل له, it has no محل. Then كنتم, that's a فعل ماضي, past tense verb, beginning a new verbal sentence. And because it's a past tense verb, it has also لا محل له, no محل. Then the tum attached to that past tense verb, that is a ضمير متصل, attached pronoun, and its role is اسم لفعل ناقص, and it is in the state of رف مرفوع. And what is the expression of رف here? It is a ضمة مقدرة, a hidden ضمة, because that is a pronoun. Then مؤمنين, its role is اسم فاعل خبر لفعل ناقص, and in the state of نصب منصوب, and the expression of نصب there is a يا, because that is a جمع مذكر سالم, a sound masculine plural. So the فعل ماضي, the attached pronoun tum, and that noun mu'minin together make the jumla fi'aliyah. So that jumla fi'aliyah and the jumla ismiyah at the beginning together they make a jumla shartiyah because of the in. Then the vowel sentence أن تخشوه, that jumla fi'aliyah, it takes the role of tamyiz in the state of nasb mansub, and the expression of nasb here is a fatha muqaddara because this is a sentence. And what is the mumayyaz for this tamyiz? It is the noun ahaqqu, and the meaning there is, but Allah has more right that you should fear him if you are truly believers. So to summarize today's lesson, today we discussed حالات الاسماء, the states of nouns. And the states of nouns are raf, nasb, and jar. These states are expressed with a number of expressions. And depending on the degree of declinability of the noun in question, the states will either be expressed completely, or it will be implied, or it will be expressed in a different way. Then following that, the states apply for a number of roles. For the state of raf, there are 6 roles that apply to the state of raf. For the state of nasb, there are 12, and for the state of jar, there are only 2. Then we also have another 4 roles that follows the states of other roles within the context. Then we also mentioned that indeclinable nouns have hidden expressions, and we will discuss the states of verbs in the Sarf workbook. So for homework, please revise today's lesson and complete the exercises on the Google Classroom stream, or do the analysis of verse 18 on page 94 of the workbook. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.